Hi there, Richard Pavlidis here. Welcome back for another week, and today's lesson is all about the 12-bar blues. So the 12-bar blues is one of the most commonly used structures in jazz. Obviously it comes from the blues, which is its own genre, but of course jazz and blues overlap a lot. So the basic structure is that it is a 12-bar cycle, which just repeats indefinitely. It starts with the 1 chord for 4 bars, it then moves to the 4 chord for 2 bars, then back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. Then moves to the 5 chord for 1 bar, the 4 chord for 1 bar, and then finishes off on the 1 chord for 2 more bars. In C major, this would mean that we have a C major chord for the first 4 bars, an F major chord for 2 bars, back to a C major chord for 2 bars, G major for 1 bar, F major for 1 bar, and then C major for 2 bars. Now in today's lesson I'm going to take you through a few ways to negotiate that chord progression, as well as a lot of different ways that that progression has been embellished and extended harmonically by many generations of jazz musicians. Okay, in example solo number 1, I'm dealing with this progression very simply. I'm essentially just sticking to the chord, and the only area I'm allowing myself to use chromaticism is just around the third, so moving from the minor third to the major third of each chord. Then in the second last bar, I finish off using the blues scale. This is a good example of the blues scale, which is a minor tonality being used over a major chord. A very common sound in the blues. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. In the example solo number 2, I've extended the progression just a little bit. I've added the 7th degree of the 4 chord, making it an F7 chord, meaning we have that E flat in there, which of course is the minor third of C major. So we have further opportunity to bring out this kind of half minor, half major tonality that is such a trademark of the blues. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. In example solo number 2, I've added some extra dominant chords. For example, in the 4th bar, I've changed C major into a C7. C major becomes C dominant, which becomes the 5 chord of the following F chord. So we lead from the 1 to the 4 like that. In the last bar, I've added a G7 chord, which would lead nice and smoothly into the tonic in the next chorus. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. In example solo number 4, I've added an extended turnaround. This is something that really came about during the bebop era in the 40s and 50s. What we find is in the 8th bar we begin a 3, 6, 2, 5. In the 8th bar we have a 3 chord moving to a 6 chord. In the 9th bar a 2 chord and a 5 chord. So we're extending this 5 to 4 progression. I've also added a 2, 5 in the 4th bar, moving into the F7 chord, which means that we can use our 2, 5, 1 material in that section. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Example solo number 5 utilizes a harmonic extension known as Blues for Alice changes. So Blues for Alice was a tune written by Charlie Parker, which was based on a 12-bar blues, but used this more extended cyclic harmony. So we start with the 1 chord, as usual, and then we have a set of 2 5s moving down in tones, so we eventually land on the 4 chord. We then have a set of 2 5s moving down in semitones, all the way from the 5th bar of the tune until the tonic in the 11th bar. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Plenty of stuff to practice here. Obviously start off on the simpler side of things. Try and get from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. Try and use some of our 2-5-1 material to do that. And then we can gradually extend how far we want to take it harmonically. And there's really no limit to that. There's a lot of really strange things being done over the 12-bar blues. So happy practicing, and I'll see you again next week. Cheers. Thank you.